Hello and welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the clutter and really distill things down for you. And today, wow, we've got something truly fascinating. It might just completely reshape how you think about getting good at English. Forget the flashcards for a minute, the endless grammar drills. We're aiming to go beyond just the mechanics, to unlock the real power, maybe even the magic, of English. Our way in today is actually, maybe surprisingly, through Yuval Noah Harari's big book, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. But we're not just reviewing the book, we're looking at it through a specific lens, one explored in an article called The Sapiens Secret, Unlocking the Power of English Through the Art of Storytelling. So our mission here is to explore how understanding this deep human need for stories, how that can actually revolutionize your approach to using English, make you, a genuinely influential communicator. It often feels like learning English is this, like technical climb, right? Scrabbling up a mountain with grammar rules and vocab lists. But maybe we're missing the real why, the big picture behind it all.
Yeah, that's exactly it. What's so compelling here is that Sapiens, well, it's not a language textbook at all, but it gives us this ultimate why for human communication. Harari's main point, and the article really highlights this, is that Homo sapiens took over the world not because we were stronger or even individually smarter. Our edge, our kind of secret weapon, it was this unique ability to create, and maybe even more importantly, to believe in shared stories, fictions.
Right.
And this sapiens secret, as the article puts it, it completely reframes English. It stops being just about understanding words and rules. It becomes about actively shaping reality through the stories you tell. It's a pretty profound shift for anyone learning the language.
Shaping reality. That's a big claim. So how did we, stumble onto this knack for making up stories?
Well, Harari traces it back to what he terms the cognitive revolution. This happened roughly maybe 70,000 years ago. It was this moment when humans suddenly developed the ability to talk about things that aren't actually there, things you can't touch or see. Before that, maybe we could warn about a lion nearby or point to a good fruit tree, simple stuff. But after the revolution, suddenly we could talk about, spirits in the trees, ancestral myths, gods watching over us, abstract concepts.
Okay, so these imagined realities or shared myths, Harari calls them fictions, they aren't just like philosophical ideas, they're really core to how we function.
Absolutely core. The article points out Harari's view that this fiction-creating ability is, and this is a quote, the single most important technology humanity has ever invented. I mean, think about it. You can't persuade 100 chimps to build a pyramid together by promising them, unlimited bananas in chimp heaven. It doesn't work. But humans, we can get millions, even billions of people who've never met to cooperate, all because they believe in the same story, the same abstract idea. And if you look around today, almost everything that structures our world is one of these imagined realities. Take money, that dollar bill in your pocket. It's just paper or cotton, right? Its value isn't in the paper. It comes from this massive shared story we all believe about governments, banks, and purchasing power. Or think about countries. The United States, France, Japan. They aren't just lines on a map. They're imagined communities. They're built on shared stories, history, flags, laws. Stories powerful enough to make people cooperate, pay taxes, even sacrifice their lives. Our world is basically woven from these narratives.
Wow. Okay, seeing the world as built on stories, that really does change things. So how does this connect directly to learning English? What's the practical link for someone trying to get fluent?
All right, here's the connection the article makes, and it's crucial. In our time, the 21st century, English has become the default operating system, you could say, for the planet's most powerful shared stories. It's the main language, the lingua franca for global business, for science, international politics, pop culture, you name it. Think about it. A CEO from Germany wants to merge with a company in Japan. What language do they use to build that new corporate story? English. Scientists in Brazil and Sweden want to share their research. They write it up in English. That's how it joins the global story of scientific progress. Even think about movies or shows like Parasite or Squid Game from South Korea. How did they become global hits? Through English subtitles, dubbing, marketing in English. So this totally changes the game for learning English. It's not just about ordering coffee or booking a hotel anymore. It's about getting like a backstage pass to how the world's most influential stories are made and spread. Real mastery isn't just understanding these global narratives. It's about being able to jump in, contribute to them, maybe challenge them, or even start your own. Traditional language learning often focuses on the what, the vocabulary, and the how, the grammar. But the Sapiens approach, it pushes you to focus on the why. Why are you learning English? To tell stories. Stories that connect people, build cooperation, stories that influence.
That's a really powerful shift in perspective. And it sounds like Before we can effectively tell our own stories, we need to get really good at seeing the stories being told to us. This sounds like critical thinking.
Yeah, the article suggests using some Harari-inspired questions whenever you read or listen to something in English. Don't just ask, what's this saying, as the deeper questions. What story is this trying to get me to believe? What underlying myth is it tapping into? Myths like progress is always good, or romantic love conquers all, or national greatness, or even consumerism brings happiness. And maybe the most important one, who actually benefits if I buy into this story?
Exactly. Let's take a really common example, like a job ad. Someone learning English traditionally might just focus on understanding words like dynamic, optimize, shareholder value. Fine.
Right.
But with the sapiens lens, you look deeper. You see, it's not just a list of requirements, it's an invitation to join a specific modern myth, the corporate myth. It's built on shared beliefs about things like innovation, teamwork, progress, and the idea that shareholder value is, a primary goal. And the why is pretty clear. The company wins if it attracts people who already believe in that story. To really dig down to that why, the source suggests using a technique called the 5 whys. It actually comes from Toyota's manufacturing process, but you can apply it to texts. You just keep asking why about the main message. Say you see a headline, our company is launching a new AI-powered productivity app. Okay, first why? Well, to help people manage their time better.
Right.
Second why? Why manage time better? To be more productive.
Makes sense.
Third why? Why be more productive? So you can achieve more, be more successful. Fourth why? Why does success matter? Well, usually it leads to growth, profit. Fifth why? Why is profit the ultimate goal? Because our whole economic system is largely based on the story that generating shareholder value is what companies are supposed to do. And boom, suddenly that simple app launch isn't just about an app, it's revealed as a little chapter in the much bigger story of modern capitalism. Having that kind of insight, that's like a superpower for an English speaker. The article mentions Priya, an engineer from India. She used to just read technical specs very literally. But when she started thinking this way, she saw the story behind the tech. What enemy was it fighting? Like inefficient processes. What heroic solution did it offer? Speed, ease of use. And understanding that didn't just make her learn faster. It actually made her a more creative, innovative engineer.
That is a huge shift, moving from just taking things in to actively pulling them apart. Okay, so understanding stories is one half. But the real power, the article argues, is telling your own. For you listening, this is where it gets really practical. This is how you go from being maybe a hesitant speaker to someone who's confident, persuasive. Think about job interviews, team meetings, pitching an idea. Compelling stories are what actually build trust and get people on board. And the source breaks this down into 3 essential kinds of stories every English user really needs to master. First one is the story of me, your personal narrative. This is basically how you answer, tell me about yourself, or why are you the right person for this job? The usual mistake, as the article points out, is just reciting your resume, which is, let's be honest, usually forgettable.
Totally forgettable. The sapiens approach here is to frame your experience as a story people can actually connect with and believe in. And the STAR method situation, task, action, result. It's like a perfect little formula for these mini stories. You're not just listing skills, you're showing yourself as the main character, someone who solves problems. For instance, instead of saying, I improved tracking, you say, okay, so the team was really struggling with missed deadlines. That's the situation. My job was to figure out a better tracking system. Task. So I researched options, chose Asana, and trained everyone on how to use it. Action. And the result. We cut missed deadlines by 40%, and honestly, team morale got way better too.
See? That's not a list, that's a story. You're the problem solver. The article mentions Javier from Colombia. He used to blank in English interviews, just listing tasks. But when he started framing his experiences using star-like, telling the story of how he tackled low online engagement situation by creating a new content strategy, action, that boosted engagement 200% result, suddenly he felt more confident and, well, he got the job. Okay, second type, the story of us. The collective narrative. This is about bringing people together. Your team, maybe your clients, your community. So often, leaders just give out tasks, right? Deadlines, instructions, you get compliance maybe, but not real buy-in, not commitment.
Exactly right. The sapiens way is to put those goals inside a bigger, meaningful story. It's that start with why idea from Simon Sinek. It's not just what we need to do, but why it matters. That creates an us, a shared identity that inspires people to cooperate because they believe in the mission. Just compare these two. Okay, team, our goal this quarter is a 10% sales increase. Versus, look, this 10% increase, it's not just a number on a spreadsheet. It's a measure of how well we're supporting small businesses in our community, the ones that usually get overlooked. That's what we're doing here. See the difference? The second one frames the team as heroes doing something worthwhile. It taps into that shared myth of, say, helping the underdog or making a real difference.
That makes sense. Lena from Germany, an engineer mentioned in the source, found this out the hard way. She led a diverse team, and her first project meeting, all about tasks and timelines, just fell flat, no energy. So she held another session, but this time focused only on the why. How would their software actually help real people solve real problems? And that completely changed the dynamic. They became a team with a purpose, believing in what they were doing together. All right, and the third essential story type, the story of why. The persuasive narrative. This is what you use when you need to convince someone, sell an idea, pitch a product, get funding.
Yeah. And the big mistake most people make here is just leading with facts and features, dumping data on people. It appeals to logic, maybe, but it rarely moves anyone to action. The sapiens insight is that humans are wired for story and emotion first. We make decisions emotionally, and then we use logic to justify them. So the most effective structure is also the classic problem solution story. You start by painting a really vivid picture of the problem. Use emotional language. Make the audience feel the pain point. Are you tired of wasting hours searching for files? That awful feeling when you can't find that critical document just before a meeting. You create a clear villain, the problem that your audience, the victim, recognizes. Then you introduce your solution as the hero that saves the day. Imagine never having that panic again. Imagine every file perfectly organized. That's what our app Clarity delivers. And only after you've made that emotional connection, then you bring in the logic, the data, the features, the proof points. This gives people the rational reasons to back up the decision they already want to make because the story resonated.
That explains Kenji's story from the article, the entrepreneur from Japan. He kept failing to get investment because he just presented technical specs, cold, hard data. A mentor told him, dude, you need to tell a story. So his next pitch. He started with a story about his own grandmother feeling lonely. He framed his app not as a tech platform, but as a solution to isolation, a way to connect families. He got the funding. The story made the difference. Okay, understanding these principles is huge, but let's get practical now. How can you listening actually build these storytelling muscles in English every day? The article gives some great tools.
Yeah, first up, rethinking vocabulary with the Sapiens Vocabulary Builder. Stop memorizing random word lists. Instead, actively collect what the article calls myth-making words, or narrative anchors. Those powerful, often abstract words that are central to the stories in your field. They're like keys that unlock whole belief systems. In business, think synergy, innovation, disruption, sustainability. These words aren't just descriptions, they carry narratives. In social justice, maybe equity, systemic, empowerment. In tech, scalability, AI, user-centric, connectivity. Learning these words means learning the stories they represent. Second tool, the narrative grammar hack. Instead of getting lost in obscure grammar points, focus hard on mastering transition words and connectors. Words like however, therefore, as a result, consequently, because of this, first, then next, finally, meanwhile. These are the glue that holds stories together. They signal cause and effect, contrast, sequence. Mastering them makes your narratives flow smoothly and logically. They guide your listener. Third, build the daily storytelling habit with something called the 1-1-1 method. Super simple, maybe 15 minutes a day. 1. Consume one story. Actively listen to or read something in English news, a podcast, an article, but specifically try to spot the core narrative. What's the problem? Who's the hero? What myth is being invoked? 2. Deconstruct one story. Take the story you just consumed and quickly jot down its structure. Was it star? Problem solution. Just identifying the skeleton trains your brain. 3. Create one story. Use English to tell a quick story yourself. The easiest way is using star for something from your day. My internet went out right before a meeting situation. I needed to present my slides. Task. I quickly tethered to my phone and logged back in just in time. Action. The presentation went smoothly. Result. Practice makes perfect. And finally, maybe the most liberating tip. Embrace imperfection. Remember Harari's point. Stories don't have to be perfectly factual to be powerful. They just need to be believed. For you learning English, this is huge. A passionate, clear story, even with a few grammar mistakes, is way more effective than a grammatically perfect but dull, lifeless list of facts. Focus on connecting with people, not on perfect correction every time.
Okay, let's wrap this deep dive up. The big takeaway here, looking at English through this Sapiens lens, is that you're learning way more than just a language. You're acquiring a tool set not just to describe the world around you, but actually to help create it. All that work on vocabulary and grammar, absolutely vital. It's the foundation. But it's not the end goal. The real goal is using those tools to tell stories. Stories that connect people, that persuade, that inspire action. Whether it's the story of you in an interview, the story of us for your team, or the story of why your idea deserves attention.
Exactly. The world increasingly runs on English. And English, as we've seen today, runs on stories. It's the currency of connection and cooperation. So by shifting your focus just a little bit from only the nuts and bolts of the language to its narrative soul, you're doing more than just getting better at English. You're tapping into that fundamental human skill, the one that built civilizations and continues to shape everything around us. So maybe stop thinking of yourself only as a student learning rules. Start seeing yourself as a storyteller, using English to actively shape your reality. That really is the sapiens' secret to mastering it. The only question left is, what story will you choose to tell today?